It was over a decade ago in 2013 when I was in my early 20s that I had the great opportunity to visit Israel for the first time. In this trip with my church, we visited the holy sites, did tours with local historians, floated in the Dead Sea and stood somberly at Masada. I remember it being Shabbat during the time we were in Jerusalem and marvelling that at the hotel the lift had been programmed to stop at every single level because in Judaism it was and is a holy day. Speaker, what I will never forget in my lifetime is visiting the World Holocaust Remembrance Centre Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. It is a museum that has been entrusted with Holocaust commemoration, documentation and education, remembering the 6 million Jews murdered by Nazis and their collaborators and honouring the righteous among the nations who risked their lives to rescue Jews during the Holocaust. What I saw in there will remain with me forever. There are images from in there that will be forever seared in my memory. The tiny little shoes on display of children lost to the Holocaust, the video footage of scenes too graphic to detail, the archives and displays, all a chilling reminder of what the worst of hate looks like in humanity. I remember leaving the centre weeping, grappling with how unbridled hatred for one's fellow man could culminate in humanity's darkest genocide. Deputy Speaker, in part that's the purpose of the centre, a reminder to the world that the Holocaust really did happen, that Jewish people really were massacred only because they were Jewish, and the centre reminds us that hate and evil left to fester is dark, dangerous and unfathomably destructive. It has stayed with me for life. The memories of the centre came back to me when I turned on the news on the 14th of December 2025, and it was a horrific terrorist attack where 15 innocent Australians were murdered simply for being Jewish and for practising their faith in public. As the granddaughter of a World War II survivor myself, I never ever thought this kind of hate would reach our shores. We remember them, Deputy Speaker. Every one of those lives, 15 lives, some laid down to protect others, all lives cut due short. We remember Alexander Clayton, an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor himself who moved to Australia to escape the atrocities of his past. The member for Caulfield, who was a pillar in his community, told me earlier today that what many Holocaust survivors did was they'd look at a world map and they would look at where in the world they could go to escape the atrocities they'd survived, and they found Australia to be the furthest that they could go to escape and survive. I've turned over in my mind since what Alexander Clayton might have possibly been thinking in those final moments as a Holocaust survivor, who had successfully immigrated to Australia, made a life for himself there, and his daughter has since said that the happiest day of his life was when he received his Australian citizenship. But yet, the hate found him here on our shores, and that hate took his life as he was shot protecting his wife from the gunman. I've turned my mind over to those final moments where he might have thought, I thought I escaped this, but they found me here. I think of young Matilda, 10 years old, with her whole life ahead of her, and we remember her. We remember each and every one of the 15 innocent lives now lost to us forever. To their families and to the Jewish community, we will remember them. We will not forget them, and we will not forget. Unbridled hate cannot be allowed to fester on our shores. Hate cannot be allowed to win. As it's been said, the Jewish community has been warning us for years that this was a risk and that their worst fears could be realised, and tragically they were on the 14th of December. These attacks and this kind of hate is an attack and an affront to all of us. It is an attack on our Australian values and on our multicultural way of life. Allowed to fester, anti-Semitism and this type of poisonous hatred can descend into unspeakable evil like we have seen tragically at Bondi. And again we say we condemn it. It is unacceptable, it is un-Australian, and we will fight against it every single day and stand with our Jewish community until you feel safe on our streets and on our shores. We remember Matilda, we remember the 15 victims. May their memories be a blessing.